Yeah. Let's talk about this. So, yeah, play this. This is Bernie. Now, Bernie wasn't there, right?
Nope, it was
and
Waleed
he hasn't been
Shahid.
asked. Waleed Shahid was on MSNBC with Casey Hunt, and Bernie apparently has commented. I mean, I didn't hear the original comment, but he's going to be releasing his tax forms, I guess, on Monday. Is it?
He's releasing it on tax day.
On tax day,
Monday.
And there's indications that his taxes are going to reveal that he has, I don't know if he has like $1 million cash in the bank, but that he has assets, it appears to be about $1 million or maybe more, that he may be a millionaire. I don't know. But here is Casey Hunt asking Waleed Shahid if that undermines the premise of his running, which is, well, let's listen to this exchange.
Bernie Sanders joked about the fact that he's now a millionaire from his book. Does that not undermine kind of his premise for running and his attacks? I mean, he's attacked millionaires. I can't even tell you how many times I heard him attack millionaires and billionaires on the campaign trail.
Yeah, I mean, most of the book is about attacking millionaires and billionaires, and I'd like to remind people that FDR was very wealthy and imposed some of the most social democratic populist policies to take on millionaires and billionaires in this country.
Well, I mean, he's sort of personally attacked a group of people that now includes himself.
Right, but he thinks that he himself should pay a fair share. That's most of what the book is about. So, at the end of the day, he did not, he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He didn't marry into wealth. He's the son of a Polish immigrant whose family survived whose families were survivors of the Holocaust. And it's a very different story than someone like Donald Trump, who just inherited his wealth from his father.
A fair point. Jeff Bennett, Waleed.
The weird part is that to me is the least compelling point. The fact that he came from, humble beginnings, and became a millionaire. In this case, it was because of his book, I guess. But the point that his policy prescriptions are not a function of his being a millionaire, as opposed to the way most millionaires and billionaires function in the political realm, which is to make sure that they maintain their enormous wealth and the outsized political power that it brings. Bernie Sanders does not have any type of prescription that says you can't be a millionaire. AOC's 70% marginal tax plan, I don't know where that kicks in. Is it was it $10 million? I
think it was over $5 million, but I mean,
5, 10, whatever. The point is that, yeah, you can be a millionaire. It's just that you can't have such an excess of money that it begins to destabilize our society.
I mean, yeah.
I had a conversation last night. I was at dinner with a guy who is a financial advisor, two different financial advisors who turned out to be Republicans. And as sometimes is the case, I will get a little bit heated in a political discussion with them. They did not understand marginal tax rates. They did not. Like when I said like the 70% proposal, they're like, are you really going to take, or 90% proposal, are you really going to take 90 cents of every dollar if someone makes $3 million? And I was like, no, it's 90 cents of the first dollar after 3 million. They're like, oh. And I was like, wait, do you guys not know this? You're a financial advisor.
That doesn't surprise me at all. But I also just think I also think that like that is why, I mean, look, I think as like he should keep saying billionaires and millionaires, and he can even turn it into a joke on the trail. And if
billionaires and us millionaires.
Yeah, exactly. You could do something funny like that. And I think, and obviously, I mean, I did like, a long segment on this yesterday, including like, we discovered a lost tape of Bernie's guide to intergenerational wealth, which, like starts by moving to Vermont. And then you basically work your way up to a dark horse presidential campaign, so that by the time you're, by the time you're in your late 70s, that's when you write the best-selling book, and that's where the big bucks come in. So, I mean, anybody who's talking about this in any type of serious way is like self-negating because it's just so embarrassing and stupid. And I will say, I mean, even us, like as people, I think particularly me, but you too, all of us are very fierce critics of Hillary Clinton. There was a point after 2016, especially, where it was like, guys, like, you need to like stop this personal fixation on her. And there's a contingent that has exactly the same disorder when applied to Bernie Sanders, and they're the ones who are obsessing about this. But I get more substantively too. Like, I think that is why at least keep saying millionaires and billionaires, but I would say, millionaires can exist in our society as it is constituted. I think fundamentally, like, billionaires can't exist as a category in a democracy.
Right.
Like, you just can't do that. And it is a difference between like
1,000 millionaires.
I mean, literally, it's like it is if you can't understand the basic analytic difference between like, you do well, so therefore you're going to pay a lot more taxes, so we have a good society, versus like the reality of your wealth is a structural barrier to us having a democracy. That's the difference.
Right. And I think like, the fact is that Bernie is not calling for a society with no wealth inequality.
No, he's not.
He is calling for a society without gaping wealth inequality.
He hasn't even called for a society without billionaires. In fact, if you want to use that example.
Right. But I think there is a very good argument that you should not be allowed to accumulate that kind of money.
I totally don't think you should be.
There should not be, and I'm not sure what that number is, but I think that we could probably, social scientists, political scientists, could work out a number where the wealthiest person should not own X number of times more than the least wealthy person in a society. Some averages, but this is going to be a big talking point during the primary, and if Bernie enters into the general election, it's going to be a big talking point that he's somehow hypocritical. This is basically like you want a Medicare for all, but yet you walk around with an iPhone.
I heard that Bernie, he buys groceries. He has a winter coat. I mean,
or Bernie has an Amazon Prime account.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like that's the more serious inverse of it, right? Like, these attacks on him are stupid and petty and ridiculous and dumb and embarrassing, and we can debunk them. But the better way to read it is that basically the subtext of what these people are saying is like, oh, well, Bernie wrote a bestseller. You can't have health care now. Bernie has a house. No college for you.
Should have thought about that. God, Bernie.
Wish Bernie thought about that, because now we can't have a federal jobs guarantee or do anything about climate change.
Right, and we should also, I mean, the other part of this too, on some level, is the idea of like, I think taxes should be raised. Well, why don't you just give more to the government? Because that's not taxes, because taxes definitionally apply. Everyone should be subject to the tax structure. We don't just have voluntary giving to the government, because that's not taxes. Taxes are money that you have to pay to the government. And Bernie lives in a capitalist society, and he is subject to the same physics and whatnot as a capitalist society. And him giving all the proceeds of that book to charity still would not be the prescription that he would want. He wants that money to be taxed at a higher rate than it is today.
So maybe we actually have less of a societal crisis that we need charity for. I mean, that's what's sort of kind of so breathtakingly cynical about it. I've also even seen the take, and granted this is less prevalent, and I don't want to drag Hillary in this, but I have actually seen the take that, well, how is it different than the Goldman Sachs speech? It's like, yeah, he's beholden to people buying his book. Which goes back to the Onion headline, which is like Bernie Sanders totally in the pocket of the high school teacher that gave him $300.
Wow.